Hey everyone, Sari here, and welcome to the highlights from this week of light season offense matches. This week got a bit experimental. With Emblem Marth out in the wild, I wanted to find a good example of using his engage bonus to maximum effect. While a free stackable slaying is extremely strong for just about anyone, I think it's going to see the most value when enabling Gale Force or AoE specials. And after some testing, I decided to commit to updating some builds with Brave Gullveig leading the charge. It's been a while since I featured Gullveig in my offenses. While I do usually keep her as a team option, the recent uptick in high DR safe tanks definitely made things harder for her. The introduction of Emblem Marth changes things up a lot though. The high cooldown was the main reason I hadn't experimented with an AoE special for her before. Not having a maxed out Asker meant that enabling it without sacrificing score would be unreliable from one week to the next. But reducing it to a 2-charge special means that Valoria is a perfect enabler for the approach. The extra speed scaling she adds to AoE specials is a great perk, and really helps her to carve through higher res enemies. As usual, her limited version of Raging Storm is an invaluable part of her kit. Getting a second action for free makes it easy to use Fury 7 to push her into Wings of Mercy range, though it does require the level 4 version once you've put some investment into her, which is the other reason I haven't dabbled with this approach before. I would like to pick up Deadly Miasma for her at some point. While Valoria already covers the lull part of the effect, it would offer her some extra combat stats and make the follow-up combat significantly easier. Valoria, of course, is the second key part of the team. Her ability to pre-charge 2 specials has always been a valuable bit of support, and she's a very effective Gale Force follow-up with the right build. Together with Infantry Pulse 4, she guarantees a 2-charge Gale Force for herself, and with Wild giving her breath and her Refine giving her tempo, that is a nearly guaranteed Gale Force from a single swing. Wings of Mercy 4 lets her catch up to Gullveig from anywhere on the map, and the extra space of warp options makes it a lot easier to pick apart the enemy team. Ashe is the last part of the combat trio. While I didn't end up picking up another copy of Wild for her, she still has ways to secure a one-hit Gale Force through Heavy Blade and Quickened Pulse. Heavy Blade isn't needed this week thanks to Tina, so she's sticking with extra stats instead. Like with Valoria, Wings of Mercy gives her a very easy time following through once Gullveig has cracked open the front line. Peony rounds out the core of the team. Having a dancer is always helpful, especially for any Gale Force strategies, and the additional mobility she brings with Soaring Guidance is an excellent way to navigate through a tricky opening turn. As with Valoria and Ashe, Wings of Mercy is an excellent tool for her here, and can give Gullveig a chance to use a second Blazing Wind in one turn to help deal with any particularly stubborn opponents. Tina is here as the bonus unit for the week. While this team doesn't really take full advantage of her staff, she's mostly just enabling one-charge Gale Forces for Valoria and Ashe, it can still come in handy against some teams. Milla closes out the team. While she isn't really the ideal mythic for this approach, Sabotage is still a very helpful way to soften up the team for Gullveig's AoE, and Smite is a great way to get Gullveig into position to start things off. So let's get to the first match. This defense wasn't part of the regular season, it's a practice match with one of the people on my friends list, and was also the setup that got me to pull for Wild and Wings of Mercy to tune up the squad. The defense is intimidating, to say the least. The maxed out Byleth and Salkias are a fantastic pair of bodyguards for their team, with Sanaki and Sigurd forming the core of their tank-breaking threats. The double Pathfinder Rally Trap can easily catch people off guard by giving either Cavalry Mage access to parts of the map he thought were safe, especially if Sigurd gets a chance to use his special. Hit-and-run approaches can struggle here too, between the save armors, Kanto control, a variety of long-range threats, and the wall at the bottom of the map. It's difficult to pick anything off and retreat in the same turn. I mostly tested this map as a barometer for how effective Gullveig's pre-charged AoE would be in a practical setting, and this Byleth was a great way to find out.
Wait, what?
By having Tina open a hole in the wall and letting Milla smite Gullveig through it, we can put her in range of the enemy team without needing to dance first. While Blazing Wind doesn't set Byleth to single-digit health total, it does bring him below 25%, which conveniently happens to be the threshold to completely disable both his weapon and Weaving Fighter. From there we can step forward and take out Zelvias. With those two down, the next trick is finding a way to dismantle the rest of the team safely. Sigurd's position makes him annoyingly difficult to box in, and with Medius and Note in the other corners, I decided to take a different approach to the turn. The extra warp range from Wings of Mercy 4 lets Valoria drop into the middle of their team to take down Sigurd. And from there, the dance lets Gullveig move over and take out No. Once she's in that position, Ash can warp in and take her first Gale Force by finishing off Dogger. And then use her second action to pull Gullveig to safety, and let Valoria warp in to take down Sanaki. And with 6 members of their team down, we only have Medius left to worry about, and he can't quite reach us. From here, it's a pretty straightforward thing to pick up our first Aether pot, and Gullveig, let Valoria grab the second pot,
what do you want?
And then close out the match.
As always.
This match was a fun one to see early in the week, and definitely made me glad that I'd already practiced a bit with a similar layout. This version doesn't bother with save armors, instead relying on Maria to make life difficult for any player phase approaches. The Lysithea on the right has a deceptively long reach too. As a 7th slot unit, she's usually getting danced by Plumeria, which extends her range to match Yunaka and Kvasir. Together with Robin's Rally Spectrum and Embla shutting down safe strategies, this is a tricky map to try and tank, which of course we aren't planning to do here. While the layout is slightly more annoying to deal with thanks to the unbreakable fortress in the second column, we can still work our way into this in a very similar way, after some nudging and smiting to rearrange our starting position. Once Gullveig has a Guidance 4 beacon to warp past, we can take out Yunaka, and thanks to the AoE, we don't have to worry about Maria's miracle activating here, not even when we move over and take out Kvasir next. And from there, we can just canto all the way over to the left, and stay out of reach of them for this starting turn. Gullveig can just open things up a little bit more on the left, which lets Valoria warp all the way over, to stay in reach of her and buff them both for the next turn. From here, we've mostly gotten this locked down, but we still do need to be careful about this Maria. And by moving Ash forwards to start with, we can have Gullveig jump over her, and take out the source of the problem immediately. Cleaving down the health of Robin and Lysithea also helps a lot, and makes it much easier for Valoria to attack into this safely, and get her Gale Force. From there, she can step up, and knock out Embla. And then we can dance Ash, let her get her Gale Force by attacking Lysithea. And then step over to block in Plumeria and claim our second Aether pot.
Heading out. Like this.
And from there it's very easy to just let Valoria attack into Plumeria and close out the match.
Okay.
This match started giving me a sense of déjà vu. It's a very similar layout to the one before it, and the practice match before that, using a combination of high mobility ranged threats with a wall at the bottom and some player phase deterrents mixed in. This squad went back to Byleth as a ranged bodyguard, along with a far more annoying gatekeeper hiding at the back of the team. The The Warp, Bubble, and Kanto control effects make this extremely difficult to crack with Gale Force or hit-and-run strategies, and the double Pathfinder Rally Trap further extends the team's already impressive threat range. Between the physical AoE of Igreen and the magical multi-hit of Sanaki, this isn't really a team you want to try to tank either. On the other hand, this map ended up being a great chance for Tina to shine. I don't engage on the first turn this time, instead using our safety fence turn to clear out some of the structures blocking our path, and getting everyone in position for the following turn.
Maybe this way. Wait, what? As always.
While it still looks like a bit of an awkward approach from here, that all changes once Igreen helpfully donates a +1 movement bonus to our team, which lets Gullveig walk all the way forward and attack Byleth to start things off. It also lets Tina walk in and break this crumbling wall, giving Gullveig a space to move in and knock out Gatekeeper, which removes Warp Bubble from the equation and unlocks our Gale Force chain. Valoria can warp in from here, knock out Sanaki and get her extra action. And then we can dance Gullveig, who moves into Sanaki's recently vacated spot to knock out Igreen. Which lets Valoria leapfrog over, block in Dagger, and knock out Note. And then we can close things out by letting Ash warp in, Gale Force through Kvasir, and close things out by grabbing our first Aether pot.
Truly? Like this.
And then from here it's a very straightforward way to finish. All we have to do is have Gullveig pick up our second Aether pot, and then let Valoria close out the match. This match was a change of pace from the other setups, and a bit of a throwback too. It's been a while since I've seen a hardy fighter Hector. He's definitely showing his age, but he can still be a capable bodyguard thanks to his penalty neutralization and combined follow-up denial. While Katria is the unit that draws immediate attention and offers the team plenty of firepower to dismantle enemy tanks, the real threat here is the sneaky dance trap she enables. Once Eldigan jumps forward onto the defense tile to dance the 7th Thought Medius, he allows Sonia to warp all the way down to the tile next to the Panic Manor, which can easily catch an unsuspecting support unit out of position. The maxed out Embla and Brahman shouldn't be underestimated either, and can easily break through an unprepared opponent. While this setup does also have a wall at the bottom, this one is a little bit easier to break through. Once Tina opens a hole in it, Milla can smite Gullveig through, and let her get things started by taking out Hector. With Hector out of the way, we turn our sights over to Medius, which takes out the Kanto control and opens up a nice corridor in the middle of their team for us to move everybody else into. Once we've cantoed back over, Valoria can head in and take down Katria. And then Ash can warp in and Gale Force through Sonia. Valoria can step over and finish off Embla from full health. Which also blocks in Brahman and means we won't have to worry about them for this coming enemy phase. The 1 hit point Eldigan isn't too much for Ash to handle. And then we even have a dance at the end of it to pick up our first Aether pot.
Lord, ask or guide us.
And it's not so hard to close out the match from here. Gullveig can grab the Aether pot, and then get danced,
Lead this way.
and close out the match.
It matters not.
This match was a fun way to close out the week, featuring the first Duos Aether I've run into on a defense. She's a solid unit, capable of disrupting enemy turns while being a powerful attacker, especially when she's being enabled by the maxed out legendary Hinoka in the backline. Sanaki is a great threat to pair with her, as is the surprisingly speedy maxed out Yune on the other side. Mark rounds out their team as a second source of Kanto control, and the fourth source of sabotage and other penalties on their team, which gives them potential access to sabotage, stall, ploy, exposure, and panic, along with the various stat penalties flying in every direction. It's a dangerous team to try and tank, and Seether can definitely throw a wrench in your opening turn if you aren't careful, but that res slaw isn't doing her any favors there, especially with Milla being the perfect foil for that stat check. I actually drafted two different plans for this approach, depending on whether or not the Hex Trap in front of Yune was real, and when we discover it's fake, things become much more straightforward, as Gullveig finds her first knockout. With Yune out of the way, we can just step over to the side and take down Seether, putting Gullveig into Wings of Mercy range and opening up the rest of the chain. While we don't get to Kanto onto this Hex Trap, it doesn't really matter too much thanks to the extra range we have from Wings of Mercy. Ash can get her Gale Force on Sanaki, and then move over to finish off Medius. Which gives Floria the perfect opening to go in after Mark. And then step forward to take down Eldigan. This does box Hinoka in. Even though she does have the pass skill equipped, it does require her to have 25% of her health to be active, and since she's out of range of the healing tower, we don't have to worry about that. Which means we can just dance Gullveig, pick off our first Aether pot, and close out the match next turn. And from here, Gullveig can grab the second Aether pot, finally get access to her Kanto, get danced,
Good morning.
and close out the week.
It matters not.
This week was a really neat change of pace. AoE Gale Force isn't actually an approach I've ever tried in AR before, which made it a lot of fun to plan out and see in action. The team should be pretty flexible from week to week too, making it a great squad to keep as an option going forward. I do have a Discord channel if you'd like to hang out and chat, there's a link in the description, and I've also got a Patreon link there if you'd like to help support the channel. As always, I hope you've enjoyed the video, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.